Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. It's early in the day, but it looks like it's going to be another hot one. And I just thought I'd mention the seasons in the UK. We're only a couple of weeks away from the longest day now, which implies that's the middle of the growing season, when in reality it's far from it. The season this year in the UK got off to a bad start. We had an awful lot of very, very cold weather in March. Well, under normal circumstances the temperatures are starting to improve a bit in March, and there are often some brighter days in amongst it, but this year that didn't happen, so the season got off to a late start. And I know a lot of growers said that, you know, regular bloomers were 2-3 weeks late this year. Some of them missed shows as a consequence. That's just how it goes, you know. In some cases that might mean that things got into a show that wouldn't have done otherwise because they'd have been too early. So I mean, you know, swings and roundabouts, as they say. But this is early morning chores time, so it's getting the foggers filled up and getting the floor wet and getting everything ready for when the heat starts to build up and all the noisy fans and everything kick on, which is not ideal for filming. So a couple of new things. I noticed, my back's playing up again, so bending's not so good. One of my Miltoniopsis, that's Junette, that was bought as a yellow one, but it's one of those that opens a pale yellow and fades within a few days to a creamy white colour. But that's got a little spike on it, so it'll be nice to see if it really does open yellow this time, because when I got it, it was already in bloom, so this will be the first time it's opened in here. So that's out of my 4 Miltoniopsis, 3 are either in spike or Donald's actually out in bloom, but 2 of the others, one's got 2 spikes on, and I've just noticed a spike on that one, so that's good, that's to come. Up here, not fully opened yet, but Dendrobium hibiki is just starting to open its buds. It does have a lot of buds. They're in clusters, but there's 5 clusters, 3, 4, 6 clusters of blooms. So that should be a good show in a week or so as they all start to open up. So that's that one. This Rodriguezii is getting very close to opening now. The buds are starting to form their shape, so that should be open soon, I hope. That'll be a first for me. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm reasonably confident now that all of this new stuff coming on this Bulbophyllum sycamensi, I think it is. Yeah, sycamensi. Some of these, or at least one of these, is probably going to be an actual, you know, spike this time round. You can see the difference there. I mean, that's obviously a new growth. It's forming a leaf, but looking at its size, that one's around the similar size and no sign of a leaf yet. So it could be a bud. There's quite a few other new growths sort of pushing on that. That one's growing well for me. Seems to like its mount and where it lives. So that's doing okay. And I mean, that can spread over that mount, you know, it can do its own thing there, so that's good. In amongst the giveaway prizes, once I do the draw on Friday, I'm going to include a few of these as sort of little extra gifts. This is my Dendrobium lodigesii, and it's currently pushing out a lot of kikis. I mean, it is prone to doing that, that's how it grows. It often forms like a ground hugging mat, so the canes actually lay against whatever it's growing on, and then form plantlets, or kikis if you want to call them that, and those grow on into sort of new plants. But it does have quite a few of them. It's got other new canes coming from the base. I mean, it's got some very good strong new canes coming on from the base of the plant, and tucked in there as well, and round here. It's growing very well, but it does have an awful lot of kikis on it at the moment, so I can spare quite a few of those, I think. There's another one up here which is not going to be easy to get at. Let's see what I can do. Oh, excuse the camera waggling around, but this mount is right up the back of the mount, so it's behind all the other mounts, but so So another Tolumnia has just opened. I suppose I better check what it's called first. This is Tolumnia Pink Sunset, and this is just opening up. And this is a pretty Tolumnia. This is very, very delicate colours, lovely soft pinks, lovely patterning, and then the deep red with the white around the top. Lovely little blooms, and quite a few of them on this spike. That's not a bad spike. I mean, this is one of my weaker Tolumnia plants, quite honestly. It looks bad because all the older fans are at the top of the plant, but it is growing new ones now, and the good one happened to point downwards. That's the one that's produced the spike, although the spike has decided to head towards the sky. So that's another one. And my other Tolumnia species, I'm going to get that one down as well, because although it's living up here with the yellow stuff, I can't see the blooms up there at all. So I'm going to get that one down where it can be seen a bit better. That's a lovely colour, that one. So that's those two. There was something else lurking. What was it? Oh, the Deesas. Got 3 Deesas open now up the back there. So I'm going to get the pot with the larger plants in. Has got 3 spikes on, all with multiple buds, all in a staggered phase. So I'm going to get that pot out somewhere where it can be seen much better, because it's sort of tucked away in there. I mean, that's their growing place where they get really bright light in through the glass, and slightly cooler because it's lower, and that it's in the path of the fan as well, so it helps keep them cooler. But now that the blooms are open, I'll bring one out so that we can see it a bit better. And there's another huge bud. Now, it's not going to look much because it's just a bud, but on the end of that dendrobium cane is a large bud. I think it's 2 actually. They will separate. It usually blooms in pairs. And for such a small dendrobium plant, those blooms are absolutely huge. And they're similar in some ways to Cattleya blooms in their size and shape, but that's to come soon. My Vanda spike's being weighted at the moment. I must get that ant. He seems to have adopted that spike. He just seems to be there every time I look. I'll get him eventually. But yeah, I did this last time, that one, because the spike heads up into the roof, and I've either got to lower the plant dramatically, which puts the roots in amongst the other plants, which doesn't look so good. Doesn't do the lower plants any good either. But by putting those pegs on there, it weights it. And then gradually, as the buds start to open, they add weight to the spike, and it will arch over, and it'll end up hopefully blooming horizontal. The other Vanda spike's pushing on now. That's the one that has lots of little orange flowers, all tightly clustered. It produces nice spikes, that one. Yeah, so a few things going on. I've got a bit of work to do, which I may well film. Some time ago, Ronja gave me this lovely Mackay. I'll get there in a minute. I'm not getting the tag out. A smashing plant. It's pushing out quite a few new roots at the moment, which go with some of the new growths. I suspect that's going to bloom later this year. I really do. But seasons-wise, as I said, we had a late start this year. And although the longest day appears to be the middle of the growing season in the UK, it's far from it, because there's an awful lot more growing time on the far side of that longest day. I mean, if you think about it, March should be the real start and on into April. So really you've got part of March, April, May, and then half of June, and then you're up to the longest day. But the other side, you've got the rest of June, all of July, August, September, and into October. Now, although the days are getting shorter, noticeably, as you head into October, the quality of the light's still good, and the temperatures are still there. You can often get a growing season in the UK that goes well into, often even to the end of October. So the majority of the growing season really is after the longest day. So there's still plenty of time to go, if you see what I mean, even though we're nearly officially halfway through, but we're nowhere near it in reality. So plenty of growing time left. That's actually 3 Tolumnias I've got out now, because this one keeps getting forgotten because it's been open a long time. But nonetheless, an attractive one, and another one here. And by moving this plant now, you can see the first blooms pointing towards what would be its brightest light in its position, which is in fact is the roof, because it's so far back from the side windows that the brightest element for this spike has been above it. Yeah, so by moving it now before the rest of the buds open and moving it to a side where, you know, it'll adjust the light and they should open more upright, a bit like this one's going to. So that'll make that spike look an awful lot better. So yeah, I think I'll move a few Tolumnias around. I'm now down to 0 Cattleyas. The apple blossom's gone, so that's classed as out of bloom now. New growth coming, but only 1 at the moment, which is that's a pig actually. I was hoping to get 2. Never mind, you can only work with what you've got. So I'm 0 Cattleya blooms at the moment. The red one's gone, or the deep orange one, that went over a day or 2 ago. The next Cattleya bloom will be from within that sheath there. You can already see the buds forming at the base. That's Cattleya Angel Heart. Massive blooms, very attractive, coming soon, complete with ant. Oh dear, oh dear. That's not bad. So far today I've seen 2. And that one up on the Vanderspike has been up there about a week. Every time I get the plant down, he manages to hide somewhere. But yeah, I've cut them right down to next to nothing now, because they're not doing any harm really. They just annoy me because their movement catches my eye. So when I'm concentrating on looking at something, they keep distracting me. That's all they are, is a bit of a distraction. But if they get out of hand and you start getting them nesting in your pot, you have got trouble, because they will chew the inside of the pot to pieces, including your roots. So keep your eye on them, don't let them get out of hand. A few visitors that pop in and have a bit of happy sap, that's not so bad, but if they start taking up residence and making nests, they can cause a serious problem. So keep your eye on them. And I've just spotted another spike, but I can't see what the plant is. Oh, that's Peter Comp. A nice spike coming up there behind the wildcat cheetah. So that looks like a nice spike. So Peter Comp will be back soon. Lovely fragrant blooms on that one. At the moment, all the fragrance is gone, or the daytime fragrance is gone. The Brassica is slightly fragrant depending on the light, and obviously the Neophonetia is fragrant at night when I'm not out here. You know, I still haven't remembered to come out and see what that's like. I better get on with it, or the blooms will go over. I shall make a note of it and try and remember to do it tonight. I couldn't have done it last night. I was so tired. I went to bed early and it was still daylight. I'm an early bird. I tend to get up when it gets light, you know, and at this time of year that's pretty early in the day. But that means I can get all my computer stuff done, you know, make replies to comments and things like that. Oh, just a word about what I've done is thanks for everybody who's entering into the draw. I'm still getting a trickle, adding their names in. I'm not replying to those comments. I'm just sticking the heart on them to acknowledge that I've seen them, because there isn't really a sensible word to put in the reply, is there? So to save an awful lot of time, because there are an awful lot of them, I'm just sticking a heart on there to acknowledge that I've seen them and you're in the draw. There's some people that haven't quite entered properly, so you know, they've put a paragraph in some cases about how nice it is to get the plants and this, that and the other, but they haven't selected a group. And if you don't select a group, you're not really in the draw, if you see what I mean, because you're going for a particular group of plants. So make sure you've entered into the group. And when I take all the names out, I'll make like a spreadsheet for each group with all the channel names, and then I use random.org to, you know, they'll be numbered like 1 to 30, and I'll generate a number between 1 and 30. I'll also do 2 backups for each group, so there'll be a winner, but I've had problems before where it's been impossible to get in touch with the winner. So by having a second and a third draw, if I can't get hold of the first person and no contact is made, I can move to number 2, if you see what I mean. So the prizes will get dealt with one way or the other. Okay. And when I do the draw, I will put my channel email address in the description, and that's the way you need to contact me, is to use the email in the description of the draw and contact me via, I mean, everybody's got email. You know, I know some people have trouble doing personal messages on YouTube, so I don't want to restrict it to that, and I don't want the contact points all over the place as well. So it'll be a matter of using that email to contact me with postal details and stuff, and then I can just get on with it. But I do have another chore. That Mackay up there wasn't a gift. It was stage 1 of swapsies. And to be honest, I forgot all about the reciprocal process. So gratefully received the Mackay and got it potted up in a holy clay pot and everything, and then forgot to do the other bit, which is me sending some plants back in return. But the lady in question wants some Restrepias. I'll find some other bits to put in as well, because that, I mean, that is, you know, that's a smashing plant. I'm well pleased with that, because I lost mine. I think mine had Fusarium and didn't make it. That was in the days before I knew what I was doing to try and treat the flipping thing. But yeah, this is a good strong plant, good new root system pushing out in places and new growths, and that should bloom soon. So I need to get on and do the other bit. The idea being that I've got 2 very large Restrepias that I can take pieces off, you know, just sort of separate a piece out. Okay, it'll leave a bit of a gap in the pot, but the plant will fill that gap in. And one of the large Restrepias needs repotting anyway, so that'll be an ideal time. So I need to get a couple of Restrepias split off and find some other little gifts to add in. That's well appreciated, that plant. So as I say, that will do for today. This is just a quick look round at some things to come and some things that have just arrived and all that sort of stuff. And now I need to get on with my chores before it gets uncomfortably hot out here, which it will do. Give it another hour or so and the old sun will hit the glass, and then off we go. And then hopefully next week the weather's going to break, so instead of just being continuous blue sky, which is what we've had for the last few days, it's going to turn more changeable. So there'll be some cloudy spells, really could do with some rain outside. The length of time that the sun and the heat is on the garden is just drying it right down into the soil. So I might even have to get the hose out. It's a novelty. In the UK, needing a hose? That's unusual. Normally we sit there looking out the window thinking, oh, I wish it would stop raining. Well, we haven't had much rain lately. And there's been thunderstorms and floods in certain parts of the country, but it seemed to go over here. I could see the storms heading north, but they weren't dumping their rain on the way. They were waiting till they got farther inland. I know Salisbury had it bad, and that's only just up the road. That's only 30 miles away, and they had some serious thunderstorms. So they had what I should have had half an hour later. Anyway, can't control the weather. So yeah, I'll see you next time. Just a sort of early Sunday morning chat and a look round, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.